I'm Bill Pearis, an editor at Brooklyn Vegan, and you are listening to BV Interviews, which features conversations with some of our favorite artists. This week we're talking with Glenn Donaldson, who is the man behind San Francisco's funny, charmingly gloomy The Reds, Pinks, and Purples. His latest album, Acknowledge Kindness, is his first for Fire Records and his most accomplished Reds, Pinks, and Purples record yet. Glenn and I discuss the making of the album, its musical inspirations and lyrical themes, how Bandcamp helped him return to songwriting after a few years away from the music biz, and the very local artwork for his records. We also talk about balancing sincerity and humor, the exaggerated version of himself that exists on his songs, the current crop of Bay Area bands he recommends, why the Reds, Pinks, and Purples haven't played New York, 5 albums he thinks everyone should own, and more. Here's my conversation with Glenn Donaldson. I'm pleased to have as my guest this week Glenn Donaldson, who has been in dozens of San Francisco bands over the years, including Sky Green Leopards and the art museums, but these days makes music as the Reds, Pinks, and Purples. His new album is Acknowledge Kindness and is out now on Fire Records. Glenn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
How are you and where are you?
I'm in San Francisco and it's like a rare warm day. We got a lot of fog here. We got the marine layer, so I went out and moved the cars around. We have street cleaning, so that's a weekly
right
activity for me.
Yeah, same in New York. It's twice weekly here.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, New York's much worse than that.
What neighborhood do you live in?
I live in the inner Richmond. It's between the Golden Gate Park, the Presidio, and the beach, basically.
Okay. I mentioned that you've been in dozens of bands over the last few years. Do you know how many bands that you've been in?
I mean, I wouldn't say dozens. I think that...
Okay.
I mean, some of those names that you might see on Discogs are conceptual things that lasted maybe a day or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I have appeared on a lot of records, I guess. I haven't counted, but there's probably like 30. So I guess that is dozens.
That is dozens. It's at least 2 dozens, Glenn.
If we're bringing math into it. I'm sorry. What was the question?
I just wondered how many bands you've been in, and
I don't know.
Don't know. What was your first real band?
My first real band, a band called Mirza. It was like improvised kind of noise rock, psychedelic rock. We had a couple records out on Darla Records. That was like late 90s, and that kind of evolved into the Jeweled Antler record label, which was like a CDR label I did with a friend. And then when we had our own CDR label, we can just invent a band in a weekend and have it be over with.
I guess Bandcamp is the new CDR label, kind of, right?
Yeah, I mean, Bandcamp really relaunched me into doing all this. I realized people weren't buying cassettes and CDRs like they used to, and I didn't have an outlet anymore. And then I just really liked the aesthetics of Bandcamp and how low key it was, but just still felt like, oh, I can, connect with a few people this way. And so that's why I started writing songs again, basically. I'd kind of given up on indie rock, I guess.
The Red, Pinks, and Purples felt pretty fully formed right out of the gate, from the music and lyrical themes to the artwork. Did you come to it with a particular idea?
It had kind of been brewing for a while. I knew eventually I would use that name for like a pop thing, like a simple pop band. It just seemed like a good name. I started to take it more seriously because I started to play with some folks in the neighborhood. And I realized, oh, maybe I could have a band again. Because I went through a period of isolation where I wasn't playing with other musicians and I wasn't trying to. I was just kind of like doing instrumental music at home and working on art and things like that. And I thought, I'm not going to get back into the game anymore. But then I met these people in the neighborhood. We started playing together. And I was like, I could write some songs. I feel like I got some more songs to write. And and then I realized, just kind of like walking around the neighborhood, that would be about me and about the neighborhood, about my life in San Francisco and kind of my friends here, my friendships I've had here that have come and gone, or romances that faded or romances that were rekindled, or, just sort of like a Village Green Preservation Society kind of where I live. And it's just kind of a basic idea, but once I had that as like the idea, and then the album covers being kind of representative of the neighborhood, they're all the photographs are taken within blocks of where I live. So it just became clear to me that that's what it should be about.
Was there a specific band or scene that you had in mind when you came to do the arrangements and maybe even write the songs?
I mean, I have a lot of influences, and I'm like a record collector type, a record, geek. And so, I mean, people compare my stuff to like a million things. Like every review will compare it to a different thing. I just feel like I piece it together from a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And then I whenever there's something that I feel like is oddball, that's my own, I try to like shine a light on it, like when I put it together. But people mention The Cure a lot, and I agree. I mean, I kind of grew up with that music, or REM. I kind of witnessed the rise of both those bands as a youth, and but I pull influences from country music, from pop, from like punk. I mean, I grew up with punk in Fullerton, California, like we were talking about. You just interviewed Mike Ness, who's went to the same high school as me. He's 10 years older, but so that's all in there.
Right.
Yeah. I don't shy away from influences or referencing things.
I think you mentioned like the go-betweens as far as this new record. And I definitely think a song like Streets of Your Town, where the music's very melodic and poppy, but the lyrics are definitely on the dark side, is a theme that runs through the Reds, Pinks, and Purples music.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably make a list of like 20 songs that if you just listen to all of them, you'll have all the blueprints for the types of songs I put together. I think most artists are like that. It's like a certain song will unlock something for you. I think Streets of Your Town is one of those for me. I mean, but I could have said before that, when I was in junior high, I would have been like, Wait for the Blackout by The Damned, or like, something by The Jam. Just like simple songs that are, anthems, or, indie pop stuff like K Records or, Sarah Records. Like the idea of having a melody be important, and then the music can be a little bit scrappy, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's kind of makes it better.
I definitely hear a little Field Mice, at least in the arrangements of your songs.
Yeah, that's, I get compared to Field Mice a lot, and Field Mice is great. I honestly never listened to Field Mice. The band I really listened to the most from Sarah was a band called Brighter, and also East River Pipe, who I didn't even know was on Sarah Records.
Oh, I didn't either.
I thought of them as a merge band, but they were originally on Sarah also. And I think probably East River Pipe, like reading about the way he would put his music together at home, and the stories in his songs that are really vivid, and the simplicity of what he does. I think he's maybe the best at it.
What's his name? FM Kernog or something? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Are there any rules to Red, Pinks, and Purples recordings or live shows? Like any definite don'ts?
Well, I have a live band, and they're kind of separate from the recording. So they've come up with their own internal rules, I think, that are sort of influenced by me, but I let them have autonomy too. So yeah, I mean, I think in recordings, I'm going for a kind of simplicity always. And there's a lot of layers, but everything's doing something really simple. I don't like there to be a lot of notes, but I don't think my band follows those rules.
How does it differ, the live shows compared to your records?
Well, I play most of the music on the albums, and they do all the music live except for the singing, which is me. So yeah, I'd say they're like influenced by my recordings, but they play them the way they play. Yeah, I suppose they're a little more active and dynamic than I would be at home.
And you said Bandcamp kind of inspired you to get back into music, and definitely early on, Reds, Pinks, and Purples felt very unassuming, like there would be a new song every once in a while. But at what point did you I guess this is a real thing, because you've released a lot of music in the past 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of miss when it was just not real. Yeah, so I just was doing it. I didn't expect to quit my job eventually and put out this many records. It's kind of a minor success story, I guess. I don't feel successful, but it is in some ways. And I started to see the response to what I was doing. It really like fueled it for me. And I knew I could write a lot of songs because I suddenly had this perspective on what I was doing that was healthy, and I was enjoying it so much. And I had worked up my recording skills enough that I could keep it all in house and just get it how I wanted. And so yeah, it was just inspiring. And in Bandcamp, I could connect directly with people, which is cool. And I don't do that as much now because I'm working with different labels, and so you don't want to take away from their marketing and their sales and stuff. So I don't do the Bandcamp as much. But yeah, I think I enjoyed like connecting with people that way.
And you mentioned labels and stuff. The Acknowledged Kindness, this is your first real studio record for Fire Records.
That's right. Yeah, I did a comp for them last year.
Right.
Which was stuff from Bandcamp.
And the title of that is actually a lyric to one of the songs on the new record.
Yeah, I had the lyrics for that song, but I couldn't finish the song. But I knew I'd eventually use that line. But it sounded really good for a compilation, so I put it out there.
Yeah. Were you a fan of Fire Records before? Do you go back to like the 80s era of Fire Records when they had like Close Lobsters and bands like that?
Definitely. I mean, I didn't know about them in the 80s, but I got into them probably in the late 90s, haunting the used bins in San Francisco. And they have the Chills on there. And
right.
If I had to pick a band, a favorite band that I relate to, would be the Chills. I mean, then they had Spaceman 3 and Television Personalities. And
yeah, very early Pulp.
It's obvious why what they saw in my stuff, is I'm influenced by that stuff. So yeah, so it was cool to connect with them. I mean, and also at the same time, they've been kind of collecting all these legacy artists. They're incredible, like Throwing Muses and Earth and Mekons turned up on there. And I just thought it would be cool to be part of all that. And the staff is really friendly, and yeah, it's been a good experience.
Yeah. Before this, you were on Slumberland in America and Tough Love, I think, in the UK. And I'm going to guess, at least with Slumberland, anything you sent Mike, he was probably like okay with releasing. Was there more pressure like with Fire Records? Was it like as being more of a real or bigger indie label?
I don't think so. I mean, the owner was already a listener of my other records, and he's a huge Guided by Voices fan, and I mean, he likes lo-fi stuff. So basically they were like, just do what you like to do. I think we talked a little bit about on this one, like how it could maybe be different in terms of like recording and packaging. And I've done so many records at this point. I think it's the 10th piece of vinyl, actually. So I was conscious about myself where I just wanted to change it, because I just feel like, well, people have heard that other thing. Maybe I could try harder to make it different.
How would you say this one's different than the others?
Well, I mean, the big difference is that I spent 8 months on it, whereas the other ones, sometimes some of them I only spent a week on them, where I maybe wrote a bunch of songs and took fragments of songs and then just poured on the steam and recorded an entire album in a week. Other times I spend months, or they're collections of songs. But this one, I just spent 8 months building this one idea, this one type of album. I feel like it has its own character that's different than the other ones. Trying to use less of my usual tricks to kind of pull a song off.
Fidelity has definitely gotten better over the last couple records. That's one thing that I would notice.
Thanks. I mean, yeah, that was conscious. And also I purchased some new equipment. I mean, my goal has always been to do the best I possibly could, but also I have lo-fi tastes. So I've always recorded clean, but I want things to sound as big as they possibly can and still have it work. I'm never like intentionally trying to make something sound like cruddy.
Right.
But on this one, I went even further. And so there's a lot of ornamentation. There's like a lot of keyboards and less guitar, like feedback noise and stuff. And like the mixing is more precise. I wanted to go for like a more of a layered sound that was very like precise and clean. But I still have fun with it. I mean, there's like noise and stuff that comes in and, you know.
I know there's a few guests on this record playing like guitar and piano, but mainly it's still just you. And is it the drums sound better? I don't know whether that's just like a new like drum machine program, or you're actually playing drums, or what's going on.
Yeah, I program all the drums. I always have. I guess I spent more time, like originally I was kind of more doing like what you'd hear on a Suicide record, you know. I am a huge fan of Suicide, and I love like, you know, the sound of the Lindrum and that kind of sound of the like the late 80s. Like Go-Betweens used a lot of drum machine.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like 16 Lovers Lane by the Go-Betweens is like the best album ever for me. And that has a Lindrum throughout, you know, so it's kind of trying to connect with that very clean, big drum sound. And then my playing is kind of a little bit more, you know, squirrely around it, you know, and that gives it its flavor, you know.
Yeah, I think this record sounds great. I'm trying to think of what song I'm looking through. I really love the arrangement for New Leaf. I think that's just musically a beautiful song.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I took some time with that one with the layers. A lot of the rhythm tracks start with finger picking on this record or piano, so you have less of the like, when you start strumming a guitar or strumming an electric, it instantly like fills up a lot of the EQ spectrum. So, but if you're picking notes, there's a lot more space. So like New Leaf is really working that picking angle. So you get a lot of empty space, which is what I'm always trying to find, which is hard, you know?
I think that the title track, the instrumental, which closes the record, is also like amazing, just on a sonic level.
Thanks. I was working with Stephen R. Smith, who's my old collaborator for many years. We went to high school together and have been playing in bands since high school. And he does all this beautiful instrumental music. Yeah, so I send him tracks now and then, and he lives in LA, and I just go do whatever you want, Steve, and he sends me like, you know, cool tracks with slide or whatever, just some flavors that I don't always think of adding, he can add.
I would like to talk about the themes of this record and the band in general. I feel like you kind of had two kinds of songs on a lot of your records, the very sort of music industry based things, and then the more introspective. And this one seems to have more of the latter and less of the former this time.
That's true. Yeah, you know, the thing with the music business stuff, and I feel like The Town That Cursed Your Name was sort of a concept record around that, kind of like Kink style, you know. I'm always thinking of the Kinks. Just kind of like, it's something I know well, and if you've had any involvement with it, which you obviously have, it's ripe for humor and tragedy, and it's just easy to I know it, and the absurdity of it, and the glory and the failure, you know. It's a place where drama can take place, you know. It's like writing a streaming series about, you know, something, you know.
Would it be fair to say that the Red, Pinks, and Purples is like a heightened version of you? Do you know what I'm getting at here?
Yeah, you know, people ask me about similar questions all the time about this. You know, like the English writers will talk about irony and stuff like that. And I feel like American humor is different than British humor, in that it's like the kind of like humor that we have here is like more like just painful honesty, where like the writer, the comedian is sort of the sacrificial lamb of the joke. So I feel like as like, yes, I do separate myself, and I did start to think of the voice in the songs as more of a character based on me. But at the same time, it's like I have to admit that all the thoughts are my own, and all the embarrassing pettiness and jealousy and stuff is true. And I think everyone feels those things. They just don't want to put that on the surface, you know?
Right. Yeah, we all have those thoughts, but maybe you don't say them to somebody else. It's just like a kind of interesting. I'm glad that you say it's a little bit of a character. It's not like Neil Hamburger or anything, but yeah, just like a heightened version of.
Yeah, because I think as people, we naturally have these kind of negative thoughts or things that might embarrass us in public, and we push them away. And then when you're a songwriter, you're like, well, this is probably what I should be exploring because there's some truth here. And so that's what I'm going for. And I'm not really a huge fan of artists that are just 100% a character. So I want to say that the songs, yeah, they're based on me and things that have happened to me, but also like, I'm not always taking my own perspective. I'm thinking of other people I know that have gone through things and absurd things and had troubles in their life. So I'm kind of the voice of different people. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I am always trying to go for a feeling that feels true. Like it's never like I'm an alias, like, you know?
Right. Yeah. I read somewhere that stand-up comedy came into play a little bit on this record, at least like how you think about things.
Yeah, I mean, that's I feel like the big breakthrough of the entire project was, you know, back in like 2018 when I was sitting on the couch and I was watching some old stand-up stuff, and I realized that in order to be good at this, that I had to do what the great stand-up comedians do, which is like really be that sacrificial character, to be the butt of the joke, to be honest about all your flaws. And that the most brilliant comedians are like that. They're just like this open book. They got to be willing to like get the pie in the face, you know? So that was like my big revelation about songwriting. I was like, I guess maybe before I had too much distance, I was trying to make myself look too good in my own songs. I had to like be more unflattering about it.
Mm-hmm. Are there people who don't get the humor in your music, who think you're like being dead serious?
I don't think there's too many. I mean, I've definitely seen some things like that where it's like maybe they think I'm whiny or something, or complaining about this or that. But like, I bet if you got into their personal lives, you would see that they were like even worse than me, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people get that there's a level of humor. That was the other thing I tried to craft into the songs, and it took me the longest time, was to figure out how to express humor without being silly.
You know, I think his last 25 years notwithstanding, but, you know, Morrissey, a lot of people painted him as a sad sack, but he was also just like one of the funniest lyricists around and managed to do both at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm influenced by the Smiths, and the first Smiths album, you know, with like Reel Around the Fountain and all that. I mean, yeah, I think that's one of the best records ever made. And Meet His Murder is incredible too. Yeah, like on Meet His Murder, you have a song like Meet His Murder, which is like a political song, and it's completely, there's no irony or humor. And then you have all other songs about, you know, other silly songs about Vicar in a Tutu or whatever on Queen is Dead. And yeah, I think he's funny. I mean, yeah, I always thought he was funny. I mean, from the first time I heard it, I don't know why anyone would think he wasn't, but I mean, yeah, he's dark, and it's just about representing being human, and it has all these sides.
Yeah.
A lot of writers, they sort of want to make themselves look cool or something, and deep and mysterious. And when you don't, they're like, oh, what's wrong with this guy or something.
I don't know how anybody could look at a title like What's Going On with Ordinary People and not just think that that's funny, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I thought so. I mean, I laughed when I thought of it. I mean, if I don't laugh a little bit, I usually don't finish the song, you know? Mm-hmm.
That also makes me think of Repo Man, you know, Harry Dean Stanton. He's like, ordinary fucking people, can't stand them.
Well, yeah, and there's that great quote from Mel Brooks too, but
I don't know that quote.
Well, it's from the Blazing Saddles, and it's like, he talks about the salt of the earth. And he said, you know, the salt of the earth, you know, morons. Talking about America. But yeah, so I see that gets memed a lot. I'm sorry, I forgot what we were talking about.
I don't know either. One of the music industry songs on this record is Emo Band, and Brooklyn Vegan covers a lot of emo. Not me personally, but my fellow editor, Andrew Sacker, he's actually got a book on like the second wave of emo coming out soon. At first, I thought maybe you were like taking the mickey a little bit with them, but then the more I listened, I come around to you being pretty sincere on that, but the title definitely feels like you're trying to provoke maybe just a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's an affectionate song. Yeah, because I grew up with emo, like the original emo with Right to Spring and In the Embrace on Discord. Those are two of my first favorite records. So I'm quite sincerely, and I just I love emo, but it's also become this term there's a lot of humor built in because people use it to make fun of other people, or they did, but then it's swung back around where it kind of became cool at some point. There's been so many transformations of this concept of the emo band. To me, that's something I can write about, But the original inspiration was I kept getting contacted by people from emo bands, some fairly well-known ones that say they like Reds, Pinks, and Purples. And then I realized, like, maybe I'm an emo band. Am I emo? And so the song is kind of about them. It's an inspirational song about reforming your emo band, but it's also about me. It's saying, like, can I still pretend to have these feelings? Can I, everything's like self-parody is included so it's kind of me trying to encourage myself to get out there and rock, and be emo and express myself.
Do you feel yourself like trying to get in touch with your 17-year-old self that was listening to Right to Spring?
All the time. I mean, how do you write music of consequence if you aren't operating at full emotion, That's why the term emo is so funny, because, like, what kind of music is supposed to be detached? I guess Kraftwerk, there's like the ironic detachment there, but I guess the emo bands, the funny thing is they take it so far, to where it's just like a shrieking emotion. And I think it's great. I love it. I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it's funny that people get upset about it.
You could also just see this song about any sort of heritage artist who's trying to keep it going in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, the second verse is actually about a punk band. Help me with this. The lyric is like a punk band back for more, but it's not the decades before. You can't know what the music is for anymore, like you did when you were poor. And so I was thinking of those bands, like, that maybe they've had careers since they had their punk band, and they have nice houses, and
right.
Or maybe they made money off punk, like Epitaph or something. And how can they go out and sing songs from the perspective of a young punk when they aren't poor?
Right. They got a mansion in Brentwood or something.
Yeah. That's cool, though. I really don't have a problem with reunions or anything. I just think it's funny, It creates an awkwardness, which is where, interesting songs can be written.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen any reunion tours recently?
Wow, it's been a long time. Oh, I did see Dirty 3. So I guess they kind of went away for a while. They weren't really a punk. Oh yeah, I guess kind of coming from post-punk also. But no, I don't go a lot of reunion shows, actually. I guess, yeah, I've seen a few over the years, but Dirty 3 would be the last kind of reformed band I saw. I saw Pylon when they came back. Like, this was a while ago now.
Yeah, maybe like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, when they did a reunion tour. And I'm a massive Pylon fan. I think they're like one of the great underrated bands and one of the best American bands, all 3 albums that they did. And I saw them play in San Francisco. It was honestly one of the best shows I've ever seen. I mean, I couldn't believe how good it was. So I got no problem with reunions. They can be terrible, though, I'm sure.
Yeah. I got to see them twice on that tour. And
did you see it?
Yeah.
Amazing, right?
So good.
No exaggeration. Honestly, the singer, one of the best performers I've ever seen, completely inspired me. I was like, I have to, try harder, because I mean, just everything about them, the minimalism of the music, the like delivery of the vocals, the nonstop dancing. I mean, the whole crowd was dancing. I've never been to a show where people dance so much.
I feel like people just couldn't believe that they were getting to see them and that they were that good.
It was honestly mind-blowing, yeah.
Is there a song on the album that you're most proud of?
I took enough time on it to where I think I like something about every song. I mean, I think New Leaf did come out really well. I can see why people were responding to that one. Kind of a sleeper on it is Doubt in Vain, which is more of a piano ballad. And I recorded that one with a new microphone that's kind of high end. And that was like the turning point of me making the record, because that song's really clean and there's nothing, covering up anything. It's when I thought, I think I pulled this one off, then I was ready to make the rest of the record. So that one was a big turning point. Just singing with not much adornment, not much arranging, just vocals, piano, a little keyboard,
I think that this might be my favorite cover art of all your records so far. I like that it has both the flora and fauna, but also the front of a house, and you do it in a really sort of clever way, like in a rain puddle or something. It's really nice.
It's the window of a semi-closed down pet shop. Yeah, and I'm obsessed with this window because it's full of these beautiful plants, and it's an old space not far from where I live. And I probably took like 50 pictures of it because I was trying to get just the right images from it because it was so mysterious. And yeah, I think this is my best album art. Like if you look at all the whole package and how it fits with the music, I think I just nailed this one the best out of all of them. And I mean, it's a real like kind of tribute to 4AD with the kind of like layered look of it. Mm-hmm. But I got it by just taking one photograph rather than layer, like, because with 4AD that and the classic 4AD era, it's a lot of layering. This is like not layered at all. It's just what I was just getting different times a day, going back to this window and taking pictures of reflections and until I found like just the right time of day to get that like blue like color. And yeah.
What do you shoot on?
I don't know what it's called. It's a little digital camera that's like pretty good. It's not anything fancy. And then I also shoot an iPhone too. My camera's not in front of me, so I don't know what brand it is, but it's just a cute little, like, it has like a pretty good pixel amount or whatever. I'm not really technical, but
right. Okay.
The lens isn't anything amazing or anything.
Some of those 4AD covers, you can't even like tell what it is. It's like, is this a pile of leaves? Is it a close up of a woman's nipple? What's going on here? Maybe it's both. I don't know.
That's what I love about them because I have a giant box of 4AD records. It's probably top 5 label for me. And you can have one of their albums for like 30 years before you realize what the cover is.
Right. Yeah.
Like you'll be looking at it and you're like, oh, that's a hand. Like I didn't know idea.
Do you have a favorite 4AD album cover or single artwork that comes to mind offhand?
I mean, definitely all the Cocteau Twins stuff. I mean, I think that catalog is pretty flawless for sleeves. Yeah, and a flawless band too. Like I like everything they did.
I like some of those Wolfgang Press album covers. Those are really good.
Those are beautiful. Yeah, when they get into the early 90s with like all the text overlays and that's really amazing too. Yeah, I can't pick a favorite. It's just those covers will make me like a band I didn't like and start to like them, because the art's so good.
Did you ever happen across one? They used to do calendars in the late 80s and early 90s. I have one from 1990, and it's not about bands or anything. There's Von Oliver like designed these calendars, which were almost completely unusable as a calendar, as you might expect, but really, really gorgeous. I have one from 1990 that I got at the old Rough Trade that was in San Francisco.
No, but I want one now. I haven't seen those, but yeah, I pretty much buy anything of that up till like the mid 90s or something of 4AD. I mean, they put out good stuff later, but after Ivo leaves, the label changes.
Absolutely.
So whatever Ivo was touched was like worth hearing. And you can find 4AD CDs for like cheap in the bargain bin still, and I'll just buy anything,
Right. What's going on with are you going to be doing any touring? That's my question, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it together. I'm doing some shows in late July. One that's announced already is we're finally playing out in Los Angeles. And then we're going to do some East Coast in the early fall. And then UK again, early next year, I believe. Yeah, but it's difficult. Touring is strange and expensive. And I'd like to do more, but I'm like, the band I have now is made up of friends. Mm-hmm. And so in order to become a real touring concern, I'd have to have more people that did it for a living. And it's just difficult. We live in an expensive city, so we can all barely afford to live here and play art music and make art and stuff. It's difficult.
Brooklyn the same way. It used to be a place where bands thrived because you could sort of afford it, and I don't feel it's definitely not that way at all now anymore.
Yeah, none of the bands around here are able to do all that much because the cost of living keeps you have to keep working,
right, or leave the city. Like when John Dwyer left the San Francisco area, I sort of felt like, well, That's the end of San Francisco in some ways to me.
I mean, he thought so, but
Uh-huh.
but actually a really great scene popped up, in the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years, I guess.
Okay. Who else should we be checking out?
April Magazine, The Umbrellas, Chime
Oh, yeah.
School, Hits over in Oakland, the entire like Cherub Dream catalog. They're like younger, kind of like shoegaze and kind of 90s inspired bands. There's so many, really. Cindy is a band I started up the same time as me. Great band. We played a lot of our first shows with them, and still play with them. And Telephone Numbers. The Slumberland thing is really active here. And we have like new venues. This 4-star venue in our neighborhood it's a movie theater that's now mixed use, and so we get incredible shows all the time. And yeah, things are still going on here. Okay. I mean, I feel like the time of the OCs and that kind of, and I had a band then too called Art Museums. And I feel like the audiences were bigger then. I feel like a lot of that crowd has like dissipated. So the audiences here are smaller, but there's just as many good bands, if not more. There might be more. I don't know. So yeah, the music's still happening. But I think less people are like, oh, this is my career. They all have to like scrimp and save to do their little 1 week tour.
I think I saw one of the Art Museum's New York shows. I want to say it was at like Monster Island Basement, maybe. Or am I wrong? Did you guys never play here?
Our museums didn't make it to the East Coast. We did one trip up the Northwest, but I played there with a few other bands. Like Skyrim Leopards played there at least 2 or 3 times. And I had a band called Giant Skyflower Band. We played at Cake Shop.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Skyrim Leopards played at Cake Shop too, and some other venues.
All right. Reds, Pinks, and Purples have never played New York somehow.
I know. New York is strange. I mean, it's like booking a show there is like, there's always some monkey wrench that gets thrown in. Yeah, it's something about New York. But I think we're going to maybe finally go there. But I have played upstate like twice.
You played the Woods' Festival, right?
Yeah, I played there, and I played at the Levon Helm Barn. So Reds, Pinks, and Purples have actually played upstate twice, but not New York City. Oh, we played Hamden, Connecticut, which is not too far.
You just hate New York City is what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like something always comes up, like that, suddenly the thing changes, and I don't know. It's hard to get into specifics because I don't want to offend anyone, but I feel like New York is like weirdly competitive or something, Everyone's trying to play there, and I don't know. I haven't been able to get the show I wanted there, so I haven't played there.
What's your what venue do you want to play when you come here?
I don't know. I feel like I spent a lot of time in New York. You're in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Okay.
I live in Williamsburg.
So I first started going to New York in the early 90s, and God, it's changed so much. I had a real fondness for New York, and then I've been there in recent times, and I just got very sad because of the changes.
Yeah, it's not scrappy anymore.
No, it's like nice boutiques, and I went to Brooklyn in kind of the early 90s, and it's not even close to being the same.
No,
like it was a little sleepy little place.
I mean, Brooklyn is huge. If it was its own separate city, it would be like the 3rd biggest city in America, but like Williamsburg, definitely in the late 90s and early 2000s was a thing, and it was affordable. But yeah, now there's a Coach store and a West Elm and 2 J. Crews, so if I wasn't in a rent stabilized apartment, I would no longer be living here.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco is kind of the same situation. And if you go to the Mission, I used to live in the Mission, which is kind of a legendary place for bands and artists. It's not anymore. Everyone's kind of moved to the outer neighborhoods. We're in the same boat, but I have a rent stabilized apartment here, so which is why I'm still here. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess we'll have to end on a sad note.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like I mentioned Kelly Stoltz briefly earlier, who I'm a big fan of. You guys should do a tour together. The San Francisco Stalwarts tour or something.
Yeah, the Holdouts tour. He's a good friend. We've known each other since before we even put out records. He's one of those people that kind of knows everyone, and Yeah, just an all-around good guy. Have done a few things with him over the years.
Is there anything else we should know? How is the next record already like in the works, in the can?
I feel like I've written most of it, but I'm kind of waiting for this one to kind of die down before I can open up a new space in my soul for it to happen. But meanwhile, I have, like more than enough songs written. I'm just wondering waiting for a bolt of lightning to tell me what it should sound like and what instrument should be on it. I guess I wanted to see how people react to this one because it was different, and I was wondering what people would think,
Maybe this one could be your down-tempo trip-hop album.
I feel like there's some elements of that in the Acknowledge Kindness. Mm-hmm. I'm experimenting with rhythms all the time, and I have experimented with some more groovy things, but then I felt like, oh no, I'm trying to make my groovy record. At some point, like, there's always that middle-aged artist that does their groovy record, and I just thought, maybe, I don't know. I remember when Nick Cave, like, all of a sudden he had a record that had like beats on it, and I was like, I don't know. Like,
I think everybody that happened to in like 97. You know?
PJ Harvey, like, she did a trip hop record, and so I don't know. Maybe I'll sidestep that.
That at least could be fodder for a song.
Yeah. How is your trip hop record coming?
Yeah, exactly.
There's the title.
Glenn, I think that's going to do it, except we always ask our guests one last question, and it's kind of a put you on the spot record. Can you name 5 records that you think everyone should own?
That's easy for me.
Oh, okay. And with a little bit of commentary too as well.
Oh, commentary too.
Just a sentence or two.
And there's no other restrictions of like, just like, well, I mean, we already mentioned one, 16 Lovers Lane by the Go-Betweens. If you like pop, if you like good lyrics, if you like interesting singers that aren't standard, that's one you need to get into. And I guess I'll mention some San Francisco things, like American Music Club Engine. It's one of my favorite records, and it's kind of like at the birth of slowcore, but it's also lounge music. It's also, torch songs and post-punk and countries in there. It's just an amazing record that you can't classify. Let's see, I'm just looking at my pile here. Oh, speaking of East River Pipe, everyone should get Mel by East River Pipe. That's a huge record for me. I think it just got reissued on vinyl. A record from the 90s that is underappreciated, but the songwriting is on the level of Tom Petty. Better than Tom Petty. I'd rather listen to East River Pipe, and I love Tom Petty. How about Crime in the City Solution, Shine?
Oh.
That one's like, I'm a big fan of Australian music, and I'm always trying to get that kind of Lonesome Highway sound that I hear in Australian music. And so besides the Go-Betweens, people should listen to Crime in the City Solution. Let's see.
One more.
In my pile here. I'm trying to make sure it's artists that aren't canceled or anything. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. Since everyone says like my new record's like goth, the first Bauhaus record. Bauhaus is one of the all-time greats. I mean, kind of flawless catalog for me. I love all the weird tracks, and almost all the solo stuff and splinter groups of Bauhaus are incredible too. Tones on Tail, a lot of the Love and Rocket stuff, the David J solo stuff, huge for me. Crocodile Tears and the Velvet Kosh by David J is an incredible record. Not enough people have heard that one.
I even thought that Daniel Ash's album that came out last year was surprisingly great.
Yeah, I have his solo stuff too, those CDs, the early solo stuff he did. Yeah, I mean, they're just a really consistent group of artists. They have good ideas, and they have fun when they make music.
Yeah, David J is actually on the new episode of Billy Corgan's podcast, and it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I watched that. I love David J. I've seen him play live a few times too. I think people don't know he wrote a lot of the lyrics for Bauhaus. He's a great lyricist. All
right, Glenn, I think that's going to do it. Thanks so much for being on this week's show.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the questions.
again to Glenn Donaldson for being on this week's show. The new Reds, Pinks, and Purples album is Acknowledge Kindness and is out now on Fire Records. While I have you, be sure to check out our other podcast, BV Weekly, where my co-workers Dave and Andrew discuss the week's hot button music news, the latest releases, and more. You can also follow Brooklyn Vegan on social media, and if you like this episode, be sure to tell your musically minded friends about it, as well as do all those other things, like, subscribe, write us a review, give us 5 stars, all that kind of stuff. It really does help us reach more ears. Big thanks to our mix engineer Nick Gray and Michael Silverstein for the theme music. I'm Bill Pearis. Thanks for listening.